Welcome to Auto Corner, and today we're reviewing the Lexus Ux250H. Yeah. So what is it? Well, it's for the people who want to maybe sit a little bit higher up, have a little bit cooler design of a car. That's basically what this is. The starting price depends on your country. Here in Sweden, this beautiful bad boy starts at 35,000 euros. So you actually only have two engines options. You have this, which is the 250H, comes with a 2-liter normally aspirated engine with a hybrid system. The other car is actually Lexus' first full hybrid, full electric car, which is called the 300e, and it depends also which country you live in, but the first, I think, cars will deliver to customers in Sweden, at least this is 2021. But this one is 170 horsepower, and what's good actually is that this engine is normally aspirated. And what does that mean? Well, it means that it does not have any turbochargers, any superchargers, and it means it's probably going to be super duper reliable because it's not a lot of things that breaks. And that's also why this Lexus also will hold probably much better, for example, than the German competitors. Let's talk a little bit about the design. I personally like the design of this car. It's very cool, very cool angles. For example, the front, where you have this beautiful grille. I actually like this grille with cool small details. The grille is basically in 3D. The lights, you actually get standard with LED lights. You have matrix lights as options. If you go down the side of the car, this wheel well looks incredible, a lot of angles. You have also this plastic here to make the car look a little bit more off-roady. Cool fact, in here they have special insulate to make the car less noise, for example when you get rock shakes and when it's rain. The mirror also really cool, half of it matches the body color, half of it's black to match the windows, but also I like really cool. Same thing when you go through this iron, a lot of angles, really cool. Here in the back end it just goes crazy, I think. I mean, this light really sticks out and it goes all the way through the car, just like, for example, the newer Porsches or the newer Audis as well. It looks really cool. If you open here, you have the trunk space. Trunk space is not that much. Basically, it's a very small trunk. You can actually lift it up here to get more practicality out of it. You have some more cubby holes down here. This thing you can fold and hide inside of the car, which is quite cool, but not a lot, sadly, cubby space. But I think overall the design looks actually really good. And we're going to be some consumer advice. Rear space is actually okay. It's not that bad compared to the size of the car. You can actually fit the car seats quite easily. It does have easy fix, which is also great. If we go into the interior of the car, quality wise, unbelievable. Most of the parts, I think for 35k, stuff like this is really cheap plastic. It feels like something you have in a very cheap car. I don't think it should be at home here. I mean, this doesn't cost a lot. Lexus could have done this a little bit better, because stuff like that makes the quality of the car interior looks much better. Something here in the rear, actually, it's horrible 90s plastic. I really don't understand why Lexus has done that. For 35k, it's not supposed to be that. But let's actually go for a drive and see what's what. Actually, another thing before we go on the drive, this I really appreciate. When you open the door, you have a big protector here, that when you get out, your jeans doesn't get dirty. Whoever thought of that in Lexus? You get that in the bigger, more expensive Lexuses, so whoever thought of that, great job. Behind the wheel of this car, before we start it up, let's talk a little bit about standard equipment in this car. It's actually okay generous. Depends a lot of which country you live in. Here in Sweden, for example, you actually do get the navigation system as standard. You get heated seats, you get heated steering wheel, electric adjusted mirrors, electric folding mirrors. You get this big screen right there, LED lights, manually operated steering wheel, manually operated seats. This textile thin quality here, you don't get leather or half leather or anything like that. That's what you get standard, and of course the hybrid system. We will talk a little bit more about, or actually we can do it right now, some options you really should spec. 35k I mean, if you spend a little bit more, or actually quite a lot of more, but if you have the means to do it, if you want to really make this car what it's supposed to be, spend a little bit more, get the higher option package, for example the luxury package or something like that, throw some options in, it will do a lot of big difference to the car. For example, keyless entry and go is not standard. That's another thing I really think that you should get on this car. The bigger screen does actually make a big difference. This has the smaller screen. The bigger screen do actually make a great difference actually, and I would actually really recommend getting that. Also you get 360 camera, which looks really cool. That's actually an optional extra. Get that. In Sweden even parking sensor is an optional extra. Sunroof will also make it quite cool, and leather seats. If you have all of that, this car would be unbelievable, and you would get basically a small luxury car. But then you have to probably pay between 45 to 55 depending on where you live. But right away when you start it off, the car is super easy to drive. It really is. Lexus has a bit of a unique. They have this touchpad thing, and this touchpad thing does get a lot of criticism for a lot of car journalists. I personally think it's not that bad. Within 10 minutes of getting in the car, I could work the system. And the good part about it, it's not that laggy, it's not that hard to understand. In 10 minutes, I got the car connected to Bluetooth. I learned how the adaptive cruise control works. I learned all the buttons here that I have to use. I learned how to change the setting for the stereo, how to change the map views, and so on and so forth. It's actually not that bad, but you have to get used to it. Also, it's a very special thing here. I think this is a little bit more of an iPad thing. You can change the media right here, change song and volume, and change stuff like that here, which is also a little bit unique. If you are a driver, it's actually quite good. It's quite usable. You have to get used to it basically. If you're a passenger, it can be a bit harder. Some arm wrestling right here, but not that bad. I don't think so. Another cool thing that I've never seen in another car is that to have the automatic for the seat heater and the heated steering wheel, which is something really cool. I have not seen that in any other car, which is really cool. You have different modes you can choose from, and that actually comes as standard. You have sport, normal, and eco. It's really easy to use and change the options on it. Depending, like I said, on the options. If you get the really nice full screen, this thing moves around and stuff like that. This is more of a standard option car, so it doesn't have that. But it does make a big difference when it moves around. It's actually quite cool, the graphic. First time I saw that graphic was on the Lexus LFA, which was their hyper supercar back in the day. And it's cool to see that in their normal cars as well. Steering, really light, really easy to drive. Gearbox, same thing as that. I think it's a CVT gearbox, so if you want a spiritual drive, then don't buy this car. It's not meant for that. But for the 99% of the rest of driving, it's really supple, really nice. You don't even feel it. The power is actually there when you need it due to the hybrid system, so you actually push you around. 170 horsepower you do get, so it does move on in normal driving. If you want a sporty drive, it's not the car for you. It really isn't. You can also get this in four-wheel drive. Then you get an electric engine in the rear. That might be a little bit more fun to drive. I've not tested it, so I cannot see. This is the front-wheel drive version. One thing that I really like is it's a Lexus. So what should a Lexus be? Well, it should be a luxurious car, and it should be smooth over bumps. You should feel relaxed when driving it, and they have done that in this car, I'm glad to say. The suspension is really good. I mean, you can drive very hard over bumps. For example, this, I'm doing 40 kilometers over it, and you do hear the car jutter is due to this child seat. But the car is super compliant, and it doesn't roll around a lot in the corner, which is good. You don't get motion sickness out of that, for example. So all of that is really good. Hybrid system, they have done hybrids now for 15 years, so they are getting very good at it, and you don't even feel it. It just works around in the background, and it works really good. Fuel economy, well, it's a big question. How good is the fuel economy in a hybrid? When you drive it really economically in city, around the city, basically no highways, I average under 5 liters. Now I'm averaging 5.4, and I'm doing like normal driving. I'm not eco driving it. I'm braking a lot, I'm accelerating a bit harder. So 5.4. When you drive a lot of highway, you will basically get that number up to roughly 6 liters, I would say. So I think the combined fuel economy of this is between 5 to 6 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, what is the drawbacks of this car? Well, I talked a little bit previously about some of the parts in the interior was not the best of quality, which I didn't like. The space in the trunk is quite small. Another thing that's also a bit questionable is the price. 35k for this with a hybrid system, and it's a Lexus. I mean, you're paying a premium, but maybe you're willing to do that. It's not that bad. But if you option out this car to really make it a real Lexus, then you're looking at basically a 50k car. Now for 50,000 you can get a lot of car for 50,000. I mean, there is a lot of cars, even bigger cars that you can get. So that's a bit of a drawback. I think it's a bit too expensive, but on the other hand, you do get the Lexus quality, Lexus customer service, which is the best of all the premium manufacturers by far. I own a Lexus IS250 from 2006. The car had some recalls on some of the parts of the car. Even now, the car is almost 15 years old. They called me and, do you want to fix this? And I said yes, and they fixed it free of charge and even gave me a loaner car. So that really shows the Lexus customer service. They have a special saying in Lexus. They try to basically be the best and do everything better, basically. So you do actually feel that, and most of the time the dealers are not assholes. They're actually really friendly, of the Lexus dealers I've been to. So that's really good. Second-hand value of Lexuses are good. Like I said, also depending a lot on where you live, but the resale value is very good, and reliability. I mean, this car would probably, from now to 25 to 30,000 miles. So if you want to keep the car, you're probably better off buying a Lexus statistically than buying a Volvo, a Audi, definitely an Audi, or a BMW. So in that respect, they're also good. Also cool thing is that you get a very unique car. You don't see a lot of them on the road, so you do stick out a bit. So that's also quite good. The cruise control works actually very simple. It's super easy to use. I mean, within minutes you can get used to it. Boom. You can even change that the car lane change assist. There you go. And I mean, it's very, in that respect, it's very easy to use. This glove box is basically stolen from Mercedes. You can open it on both ways. Do a lot of cubby holes right here, and USB ports right there. The reason why I can show you that is actually because the car is steering itself, and it works great. So that's my conclusion of the Lexus UX250. Good car, a bit too pricey.